Service Lines community. How y'all doing today? Alongside of me, Miss Ward. What's up?
What up, what up, what up? Let's get it. The usual.
Uh,
Monday morning.
you're much more cheery than Doug. Doug is usually Mr. Grumpy on Monday morning, so this is refreshing.
Hey, I found that Doug, that is a facade. Doug be setting y'all up, man. Doug is the facade king. Okay?
He is actually a pretty cheery person. Monday mornings he's just usually a little grumbly. So
Well, you know.
it happens. Gets the best of us. Morning, Jeremy, Gary, Adam, and Dr. Dan.
What up, D?
Yes. Well, so today we are talking a topic that is right up your alley. So it's fortunate that Doug is off jet setting, and I get Miss Ward to come on with me. I get the expert in this. So we're talking expansion, and we're going to tie a bunch of the topics that we have been talking about, a bunch of the themes that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. We're going to tie it all together this morning. Oh, Saul, we are Doug less. The puns just get worse with Saul. So we're going to tie a bunch of the topics together. Okay, so we're going to talk about expanding. We're going to start with expanding through what are some of these similar services that are going to be a minimal effort to add to your business, that they're close enough that you should be doing them and they can be profitable. And what are the ways to do that? It's building a team. It's bringing in subcontractors. It's all these different things. So you can see we're going to tie a bunch of those topics together today. And it should be fun because Miss Ward is a pro at that. And I'm actually getting better at that myself. I've had a little bit of experience in the last couple of years with that. So
Outstanding.
you want to pray us in? And then we'll
Absolutely.
just dive into this topic.
My pleasure. Lord, thank you for allowing us not only to get up this morning, but to breathe in deeply and say amen. To say thank you for everything that we have, everything seen and unseen. Lord, thank you for protecting us on our journeys today. Lord, thank you for opening opportunities of expansion, not only in business, but in mind, spirit, body, and soul. Amen.
Amen. All right. So one of the best ways to do this, God, good morning to Doug. No. He's been taken off to Vegas by his jailers, and so we'll miss him this morning. So I want to start with the similar services, right? Because there's a lot of guys out there sleeping on things that are so similar to what they're already doing, or they're not offering sealed system repairs, or they're not, whatever. Like there's just a ton of these things that it's like, how much more effort is it to add this into the business, and what does that look like, right? And so what was one of the first things that you kind of like, if you're willing to share, what was one of the first things that you kind of jumped into that was like, why wasn't I doing this to begin with, an appliance repair?
Oh, point blank was to be honest with you, was seal systems. Mm-hmm. Because I am business driven and profit driven, and I'm always looking at metrics. When I first got in, I didn't know how to do seal systems. I knew the value. And I also knew a lot of guys that were doing it were undercharging or underpaid. So I just, it was just a merge of all the work, perfect storm at the perfect time. So I was able to get seal systems done for these guys getting paid pennies at work. So they would do work for me, and that would pay them like $1.50. Now you got to pay a guy $300 to $400, which is still, if you know how to price it right, you're good. But you got to also vet those people. A lot of people say they want subs, but that's a whole nother conversation.
And we'll
because
have a piece of that this morning. We'll have a piece
yeah.
of that.
But the first thing I added was seal systems. And the other thing, believe it or not, was actually washing machines and laundry. And the reason was because I'll be looking at washing machines like I'm not moving that. And I knew guys that they just oh my God, they live for that. That was what they knew, especially a lot of the guys that work for a certain company that, that where they split everything in different compartments. So
Right.
those guys would love it. And, they were underpaid because I always feel like any employee is underpaid. The only time you're not underpaid as an employee, in my personal opinion, is when you understand the relationship, that your job is your first investor. If they ask for tuition reimbursement and things to support your learning and things where you can expand, you should be using that as your MBA. But that's another video. But that's what I got.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is very simple to know. You have to understand the 1099 structure within your state, and most guys are doing it wrong. And I know that for a fact. I've seen it far too many times. Most guys are doing 1099 wrong. You cannot tell them when and where to be. You can say, hey, I got a job, and it's, they're looking for a couple dates within this range. Are you available? Yes or no? Fantastic. Here's the information. Contact them. Let me know when it's done, right? That is the correct way. And then you pay them the agreed upon 1099 rate, and they have to be licensed and insured on their own. That's the proper way to run subs. You guys that are trying to run them like employees to avoid paying it, the government is not messing around. All those new IRS agents are coming for you. If you don't think they are, you're out your mind. So first of all, structure that properly. And once you do, you can see it's really easy. Hey, I don't have the tooling to do sealed system, but this guy, that's all he loves to do. I can feed him sealed system work. Great. Here's our agreed upon rate. I got a range here. You want to go take a look at it? Yes or no? Fantastic. Off we go. Next, washer and dryer, right? You spun up that you can do that. And I would say with that, there's one more service you can even offer. Hey, dryer vent cleaning. What do you got? Let's do it. You know what I mean? Like there's guys out there doing just dryer vent cleaning. Jay Mills teaches and has he has a group that's only for dryer vent cleaning. And he teaches these guys how to be profitable at dryer vent cleaning. That's not something I'm passionate about. But I'll tell you what, I know guys that have done that. I've referred the same guy for 15 years. I don't refer anyone else for dryer vent cleaning. That is all he does. And he's good at it. And he builds, right? So what are these little things that you can contract out and add it into your service? What are some of the other things? We have some people here, one in particular that, are you offering part sales for Johnny Homeowner that's going to do it himself anyway? That's an easy thing to add to your website. That's an easy thing to work with Marcone, to work with United. Our partner, my brain goes blank on them all the
Union.
time. Union, thank you. Union down in Beecher, Illinois. Are you working with these companies to get that online portal, that direct shipping to the DIYer that's going to do it anyway? They're going to do it anyway. If you think you're going to stop them from doing it, you're an idiot. Like I'm being a little harsh with that. They're going to do it anyway. So are you providing a vehicle for them to get that through the online portal? You know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
not. You're sleeping on a simple service. There you go. Dr. Dan working on it now.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. They're going to do it anyway. So you might as well be that vehicle, right? What are some of the other things that as we go?
Hey, I always let me tell you, if I wasn't in appliance repair, I tell people all the time, I'd be on the plumbing game. And the only thing I'm doing is water heaters and leak detection.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Or no, I'm not doing the clean out. No, they can have that one. But the water heaters, I sub it out all day long. Man, look, what? Oh my God. Crazy. But you got to look at your profit. You got to know where the profit is, and then you got to understand how you manage the risk. Like right now, I'm chuckling to myself. We're having this conversation. You were talking about 1099s, and I have an associate. I'm gonna just use that word loosely. Who one of his quote unquote subs is suing him for $200 over some BS, and it's crazy. But it goes back to that communication, the setup, and first of all, do people understand that subcontractors are not you? They're not the owner. Like your whole job is to protect yourself and set up a wall, in everything you do. And you may be thinking on this level, the subcontractor deals with his customers on this level. So however he's that same energy he uses with his staff or at his job, he's bringing that to your customer. Like there are levels to this. That's why people always ask me, I've been like, nah, don't ask me. Yeah, I got subs, but you got to realize these guys, we have been through it. I know their integrity. I know their clean cut. I know how they show up. That's a whole nother bar, man.
Yeah, and the reality of that is, are you willing to attach your name to it, and to what extent are you willing to do that, right? Because you can actually expand your business by utilizing subcontractors. You can end up in different areas. You're in a different state right now, right? Like you're the traveling woman this week, right?
Yeah, man.
So it is entirely possible to do that if you're willing to put forth the effort. You have to decide, like, what of these things make sense for me as a business owner, to kind of move in that direction, right? And so, like I think through what I've been dealing with in the flooring, right? There was guys that would add, countertops, and guys that would add cabinets, and guys that would add, like, just like these little pieces, and they would find a subcontractor that could do the work. Now you have to make sure that you can manage that appropriately. And that's what you're saying, Miss Ward, is like, if you're going to add this stuff, you have to know the level at which these people are at. So if you're going to add sealed system repair, and it's not going to be you doing it, you have to know where they are. You have to know their level of communication. So if you're the one to contact the customer and say, hey, my guy's going to be here between this time and this time, let me know if there's any issues. You can contact me directly. You have to be the one to communicate that, because you have to know that your sub may not communicate on the level that you do. And so the communication runs through you. Whenever we ran subcontractors for the flooring, and I know it gets a negative connotation, right? But it's because people don't understand how to do it in the appropriate way. No one thinks twice about a flooring company sending out a subcontractor. Not at all. No one thinks twice about a cabinet company sending a subcontractor. Like, no one thinks twice about it. Why does it matter for appliance repair or electrical? As long as you have set everything up ahead of time, you have the ability to kind of expand into these other areas. So, Miss Ward, the perfect example, you're talking about water heaters. I mean, why not add it, right? I got a guy up here that they're plumbers, and their main bread and butter is water purification. They will beat the big C company any day on water purification because they understand that they have a passion for it and they care about it. So I know for me, if I was to have a customer that, when I was doing the flooring and we were doing a bathroom remodel or we were doing a kitchen upgrade or something like that, I could send them out and they could do the water purification piece. Hey, like, you have an RO system. It's kind of an older system. I got these guys. Would you like to add that? Right. And it was great to just be able to offer that to customers. It was something really simple. Listen,
Yeah.
if your parts vendor's doing it,
hint, hint.
Why aren't you? Right. So there's a ton of opportunity to expand. What are some of the questions that you asked yourself when you're like, okay, hey, so what should I offer? Like, what were some of the ways that you're a KPI person? What were some of the ways that you kind of looked at your business and went, maybe now's the time to add that? Like, what were some of those questions for you?
Well, one of the first questions was, what are the needs of my avatar? What are the needs of the clientele? I only deal with a certain level of clientele. And in order to service them, I have to understand what areas I'm comfortable stepping in and what resources I have. So the questions I will ask: number one, what is going to be the most profitable add-ons I can add a customer that's not going to get me killed or not going to kill my insurance or what have you? And I want to make a note here real quick about the seal system. Just because someone does seal systems don't mean they know seal systems. And I need people to understand that before you sub something to somebody and then they got a recall and they don't know the difference between detecting a restriction or a leak, you got a problem. You feel me? When you're dealing with someone who's not comfortable with R600, when at this point in my mind R600 is ancient. Like if you ain't in R600, you slow. If you're in seal systems, you know what I mean? So at the same time, the questions I ask myself: number one, what is the demand of the client? What's the most profitable? What's the quickest turnaround and return? And what resources do I have to satiate that need on a consistent basis at the white glove level service that I provide? Those were the questions.
I love that. So at a consistent, it has to be consistent. If you cannot do this consistently, don't add it, right? Yet. Figure out how you can get consistent and then add it. Go ahead.
One more thing I want to add is you got to understand the lifespan too. That's another thing. I see people doing the same thing way past the time period. Like me, I know how to get into a situation, get into a market, get into an area. And by the time the crabs and the bottom feeders show up, I'm gone. You can have the scraps. And that's how you need to be running your business. You need to be light years ahead of the game on so many levels. And what most people don't understand is you hang around old heads. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I love the old heads that bring the knowledge. Okay, but when I say old heads, I'm not saying older people. I'm talking about older thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
Some people want to change and their minds are pliable. So I'm cool with you. But you people that stuck back in 1922, I can't help you, man. The shackles is off my feet. I'm out. Deuces. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead before I get us in trouble. You better say something.
No, but that is a perfect way of thinking about it. Like, so many guys have set up their businesses the way that worked in 1977. And it's not 1977 anymore. I came out of a company that was set up in 1977. I was taught by a guy who that's what he did. And so what I learned was that method. And it took me shutting down that business and getting into another business to go,
Wow.
what if I was to look at it this way? And with this person and so now I have you're not ever going to see this guy start an appliance. I'm not going to say ever, but the chances of it, like, hell might freeze over before I open another appliance repair business. I'm just being honest about that. I'm not going to shut the door entirely, but it's a very slim probability. But I can look at a business and go, why aren't you doing that? Have you thought about this? Have you tracked this KPI? And do you have the data that'll tell you if you can make a pivot in this direction? Right. And so if you're not tracking the data, if you're not, and you kind of glossed over it, but I think this is the most important part of what you're talking about when you decide if you're going to do an expansion. Who's your avatar? Who is your avatar? Who is that customer that you want to serve? Who is that person that you can have a good relationship with on a business deal, right? And is gonna pay you for what you are worth consistently, right? Because you have those, oh yeah, give me a good deal this time, and the whole neighborhood. Nope. Deuces. So who is that avatar for you? And you kind of glossed over that, but if you're going to expand, you have to know who your avatar is. You have to know who it is that you want to deal with on a regular basis. It's important. It's important to understand that. When I was dealing with kitchen and bathroom remodels in the flooring store, I had to know who my ideal customer was. Who was an ideal person for me to be dealing with? Someone who had no idea where to start, someone who wanted design. I I like the design side of stuff. My avatar was someone who had the money to handle a $20,000 to $30,000 bathroom remodel, a $40,000 to $50,000 kitchen remodel. They're not full remodels, but they're, they're a decent upgrade, right? Who is that person that has that cash that doesn't know where to start, that doesn't know how to put colors together, that doesn't know how to use light to react with different materials? That was my avatar when I was looking for a client, right? So, Miss Ward, you can talk about like what an avatar for you is as far as appliance repair goes. Who's that avatar for you? Who's that person that's paying you consistently?
Well, when I initially started in the business, because I came out of high end on the in the world that I was previously in, I understood that clientele. I understood they wanted booties on your feet. They wanted you to communicate. They didn't care about the price. They cared about the quality of the repair and the who was in their home, you know, and
Mhm.
whether they had the training and skill set, not just not just appliance repair technically, but soft skills to speak that language, you
You
know?
can't teach that. Yeah, I can teach anyone how to turn a frickin' wrench, but I cannot teach you how to be a decent human being. That is so important. That's soft
Yeah,
skills. That's number
yeah,
1 in my book.
yeah. And then when you walk in the home, you got to act like you've been somewhere, you know? I swear, I'll never forget the time I took somebody was doing a ride along with me, and I had to get them together because they had never been in a $5 million. I'm like, bro, let it go. A house is a house. You feel me? But at the end of the day, I had that clientele because I realized that all appliances were very similar if you understood the basics. And I understood what I didn't know. I had the resources to extract that information. And I had a support team and a round table, which I've had from the beginning. And as you level up in the business, those chat tables change. The chairs at the tables change. But, at the end of the day, that's basically, how I targeted and went into those things. And then from there, I dealt with the warranty companies that service those specific zip codes. Like everything I've done has been that way. And then I would look at construction. Like I'm out of Florida. So if Publix is breaking ground, I'm there. They've already studied the demographics 20, 30, 40, 50 years out. I'm on it. Any company like I call Publix gangster because they got Publix across the street from each other, from where I come from, and that's how gangster they are. They know their markets. They go in and dominate, and they don't look back. They
We
set
we
the standard.
we just have Walgreens and Speedways across from each other. So Chicago, you can't even look at that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you have to have a strong, and then you got to know yourself. Though I think
Mhm.
most people don't understand what their strengths are. When you know what your strengths, you got to play to those strengths till you can fix your weaknesses. You know what I
If you're
mean? And
if
mhm.
you're gonna expand, you gotta start there. You gotta understand who you are first. You have to know what you want to accomplish first. And one of the pieces that you were bringing up is you had this kid that you had to set straight because he'd never been in a $5 million house, right? I remember my first time in a $10 million house. I was drunk and lost, right? Like I was partying with my friends. But I mean, that was the group that I grew up with. And so you begin to understand how those people are talking. By the end of it, her mom, who owned one of the largest earth moving companies in the country, was like, I mean, listen, if you really want to go do the grunt work, like I'll sign the thing for you, but like I see you're a lot smarter than that. Like why would you be going to do that work, right? So I learned the language. I learned how to work with that avatar. You have to know your strengths and weaknesses and how to play those towards your avatar. I think that's understanding yourself is the first key before you can even expand, because if you're expanding to expand, you're going to contract a hell of a lot faster. right? Like you're going to end up shrinking up before you actually are even able to expand because you don't know yourself. You don't know what you're good at and where the blind spots are. More importantly, you don't know where you're going to kind of fall short, you know.
I want to add something that's very, very important because now I'm having flashbacks. If I go into a seizure, just ignore me. So I'm having flashbacks here where we're talking about how when I came in early, because I came in to manage subcontractors and to expand the business, and I'm having conversation, meeting people, putting them on this, and that, and I'm got them in this part, that part of the country, and then I realized that number one, I'm talking to people who don't see the vision, who can't, they just surviving. So what I see for them, they don't see for themselves. So I'm trying to drag these people with me and they're hurting my business. And I'm not going to say it was intentional. It was just a lack of exposure and a lack of thought process. And the reality is I had no business dealing with these people. Let's just keep it a buck because I mean, it taught me a lesson, which is why I'm so isolated a lot. Like you guys have access to me, but I don't let everybody have access because I'm constantly growing and doing what I need to do. And I understand that I have a limited intellectual bandwidth to deal with the BS. So I tell people, like one of my roundtable members called me talking about, I'm expanding. I want to expand. I think if I get a couple of more guys, they can take care of something that's at work. And I asked them, I said, first of all, can you tolerate doing the work in the field, then a customer calling you because this clown didn't show up or his girlfriend and him got in a fight and she got him locked up or whatever, the drama. Like there are pieces of the puzzle that when you add people in their experiences, because everyone is a sum total of their experiences. I ain't knocking nobody because I'm very clear where I came from and where I'm going. You don't have to look like what you've been through, but you got to stay on the path and you got to understand what distractions are and what you can handle. That's what I wanted to add.
I love it. I love it. It is important when you're going to add people, you have to know that there's some drama and there's some BS that's going to come along with it. Are you ready? Are you at a level that you can handle that? And the other piece of that I love is and I'm a very visual person, so Miss Ward, you're up here on this level and your guy is down on this level, and there's kind of like a level in between, and what you needed was that person on the level in between, because maybe you wouldn't have been dragging them, right? Like maybe they would have been able to actually tie into the vision, but what was available at the time was someone you were going to have to drag along, and that doesn't work. You can't want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. Like, that's part of why I'm not in flooring anymore. You cannot want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. It'll never work. They will never grow. They have to want it for themselves. They have to want that growth. They have to want to move forward, or it'll never happen.
Yeah. 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 But I'm going to tell y'all a little secret, though. This is the other thing don't fall for. Don't fall for the I see bits of myself in you, because that still ain't you. That ain't the same DNA. It ain't the same cloth. Everybody's different and they got their own journey. The biggest thing I ever learned in corporate America, and the hardest lesson for me to ever learn, was you have to promote your employees to customers sometimes. Sometimes you just got to fire people because you're not doing them any good and you're not doing you any good. They got to go out there and learn life. You can't play captain save a blank. You feel me?
Yeah, and I think that's a great way to look at it when you're doing expansion as well, especially when you're dealing with subcontractors, even when you're dealing with a team. I mean, Dean Landers has said it more times than I can count. Like your team is your customers. If you are the owner of the business, if you are the head of that company, your team is your customers, and then the end user is their customers, right? And so how are you working with your customers? Is that someone that you want to be doing business with? Yes or no? Right. And when you look at it that way, like it's like the scales fall off. You're like, oh, would I tell? No, I don't want to deal with that drama from a customer. Not at all. It's not worth my time to be out the door. I get phone calls because I'm the harsh one. I had a conversation with one of the guys in our community, like, man, I think I just got to do this. And he was not expecting the response of, I think it's a you problem first. So let's work on the you problem, and then
Amen.
we'll assess if we need to pull the trigger there. I say that to say I am not always just fire everyone and end it. Like, sometimes I can hold back and be like, maybe we should reset. But I think that goes to, let's be honest with ourselves. What are we actually looking to do? What are we actually looking to achieve? Do we have everyone in place? Do we have all the tools that we need, right, in place to make this happen? I can't go across state lines. I don't have the resources in place right now for me to be able to expand a business across state lines yet. Right? So if I want to do that, if that becomes a goal of mine, what do I need in place to do that, right? I have to go and I have to look at that. So if you're looking at expansion, you have to know what all the rules and requirements are for wherever you're looking to expand to. Different counties, different communities, different whatever. They all have different rules for certain things. We're lucky in America. You do not need a gas license to work on appliances. You go overseas, a lot of those guys, if they don't have gas license, you go to Canada. You can't work on a gas appliance unless you have a specific license, right? And you kind of hinted at that when you were talking about the liability. Maybe that's why you haven't expanded into water heaters, because the plumbing requirements for certain counties are just like insane and they'll kill you insurance. But maybe water purification, if you can find that guy, right, is the key, because that level of clientele, every single one of them wants to drink that Dasani water and that, like
Yeah, yeah,
Fiji
my sister.
water and whatever,
Yeah,
right? Like, so maybe
yeah,
that's an expansion technique. So you have to understand what the rules and requirements, as well as what your clientele, your avatar needs.
facts. Yeah, my sister who's renovating her home, she just put one in. I just inspected it because I had to go look at that wonderful GE all-in-one washer and dryer she felt the need to buy. And she bought an LG because she wanted craft ice. And she got what do they call it? What's the microwave? The in the island,
Oh yeah, the
the
drawer
drawer.
microwave. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, chick, you need to slow the heck down.
That's the only piece in that entire kitchen that's going to have to not be serviced on a regular basis. Once you adjust the doors, it's pretty easy. But yeah,
Yeah.
that refrigerator, Miss Ward's going to be getting some paper from her sister.
No, man, I already told. Look, everything she bought, I said, don't call me. Get an extended warranty. I am not responsible.
There you go. So look at that. Alabama needs a gas license. You want to service gas appliances, you need a gas license in Alabama. There you go. So if you're wanting to expand to Alabama, you darn well better know that, right? And so these are kind of like the important things that you need to know. Hey, we got a question as we're wrapping up here. Miss Ward, saw one of your previous videos. You said if you had to do it all over again, knowing what you know now, you'd head towards sealed system or plumbing first and then specialize. Why? You kind of hinted at that a little bit earlier, but I mean, I think that's a good thing to wrap up with.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna answer that real quick. Let me share something with you. I have a young man. I'm always shouting him out. He's been on this channel actually with us. I think he was on with me and TK one day, and that's Sam. I also did a Tech the Titan interview, and Sam is phenomenal because I coach Sam, and that's all Sam. All Sam works on is R600. Period. He works on it on the commercial side. He also does 290. This guy came in the game killing seal systems because he followed the coaching. He had faith in himself. He did not come from the appliance industry, and he has studied the game. So everything he does, he works on Mila, he works on True. And let me tell you one of his secrets. He got his reps in with high sense. And who touches high sense? I mean, some of y'all do, but I don't. But the point is, he utilized high sense to get his R600 game up. He went to the training. He got in good with the instructor. He went on some ride alongs, and he's a meticulous guy.
Shout out Tim Burdick. Hisense.
Yep.
I like Hisense.
Hmm.
It's a great training tool for anything you want to do. So if you haven't learned on Hisense, go learn. They're some of the
Yep.
simplest systems. If you can learn that, you can learn anything. It's
Exactly. And the
yeah.
support is there. And this guy has the soft skills to where he was able not only to get his R600 down, but he had, even communicating on the warranty side with the people, he was able to shift his relationship because he learned from me to listen to what they need, understand their systems, put a blueprint in place for yourself so that you are the go-to guy and you develop those relationships. And then he's been able to do that with True. The only other thing he has is he has a relationship with Starbucks. And that was because he was the guy that went out and got certified to do the machines at Starbucks, because in his brain, he's looking at the business as a businessman, not as a tech. So, of course, we would start with Soul Systems. That's why.
Yeah, and I think there's something like, and you just kind of, I love how you do this. You always just kind of gloss over the nugget. That's my favorite part. He looked at it as a business person, not a technician. Do you know how many guys and girls that I talk to that it's like, you are a technician, you are not a business owner. Just stop. If you need to level up your business skills, you need to break that technician mindset, right? Like you can still have a technician mindset, because Miss Ward and I both have technician mindsets, but we know how to slip out of that and get down to business when it's time to get down to business. So I'm not saying you have to get rid of it, because as a business owner, you are just as much a technician, but you have to be able to break that turning the wrenches mindset and get into the technical mindset as far as the business goes. So if you want to be a great business owner, level up your business skills.
And
Level up those skills.
I agree. I got one last, and I swear this is it because I'm thinking about Mr. Young's question. Okay. Because when he was saying,
Thank you, Miss Ward. I wanted to do it this way. I was told not to. I saw the potential in sealed systems from the jump. Dude, anyone telling you not to do sealed systems doesn't know
Amen.
sealed systems.
Hey, let me share some with you. This is the part I want to really talk about. Is that from the business point of view, sealed systems when I came in, just like LG and Samsung, were things people said not to. And I've been the kid that I'm gonna touch the stove anyway when it's hot. You feel me? So the thing about it though is that when you understand if people are running the other way, that means you need to specialize and be the best at it and charge accordingly because your stock went up. If they scared of it, that means that, that's their world. At the end of the day, everything comes from a lack of knowledge. When you get in sales systems, the more you get your knowledge on, the more money you make. And then you're going to touch what you know you're going to be able to repair, get in, get out, and get paid with no recall. And then you're going to stay away from them, especially things that you're not comfortable with. But it goes back to business, knowing yourself, investing in yourself and the training, and knocking it out the park.
100%. I can't summarize it any better. You want to expand, freaking learn your avatar, level up your business skills, and figure out what tools you need to accomplish that. That's you nailed it. You nailed it. I love it. This has been a fun conversation, and I know we both got to jet out of here. We got to get down and dirty. We got to get the work going. Get out there, do great for your customers, love your customers, and we'll see you next time on the morning grind. Peace out, guys.